Okay, so today we're gonna go through a full MAT session on what it looks like and what you're gonna experience when you come in. So the first thing is the range of motion exam is the most important part because it's like a GPS system on where to go. So I haven't seen my client here in a while, so you're actually gonna see firsthand on what I am talking about as using range of motion as a GPS system on where to start. We're gonna do something called active assisted motion, so go ahead, rotate in with me. And we're just looking for the biggest differences in asymmetry. So right now I'm feeling her right side's a little tighter when we rotate the leg in. And we generally just try to go through the whole body just to get an idea of where you're at. We actually use tightness as a way to show where the weaknesses are. So you're not gonna be experiencing any stretching at all. So if I feel any tightness, that's a sign to me that there are issues with the muscles that cross those joints. So right now, the biggest range that I'm feeling is this. It's a little tight, and then this one is just nice and flows nice. Let's keep the leg straight and then lift up. And what we're trying to do is tie mechanically what's going on. So I already have in my head where I'm thinking this is gonna go. We're gonna continue with the rest of the motions just in case. So we tie it in mechanically. Okay, well, what else happens when you rotate your leg in? There are things that happen in the foot, and the hip, and then the spine. Sit nice and tall, cross the arms. Let's rotate to the right and to the left, and on your back. Side bend to the right, to the left. So going to the right is a little tighter. So now you're starting to see everything tie in together. Let's go face down into the headrest and arms to the side. So let's bend the knee, lift up, back down, switch, and lift up, back down. Shrug your shoulder down this way, okay, relax. Shrug your shoulder down this way. Rotate your leg out to me this way. Rotate your leg to me this way. Come out this way, rotate down. Let's bring the leg out this way, rotate down. All right, let's line your back, face up. Because I gathered the amount of information that I need, I don't need to go further into her shoulders, her wrists, her feet. I'm just gonna go right into it now that I found exactly what it is that we're gonna be working on. So we have that information, mechanically what's going on with range of motion. Now we're doing something called muscle testing. And what's cool about muscle testing is essentially we're putting all these muscles that are responsible for those ranges into like a bicep curl pretend. We're trying to lock that muscle in, and then we're gonna essentially test it. So if it's strong, then it obviously won't move. But if it's weak, then what we're gonna do is we're gonna see it break. So you'll see in a second what that looks like. So let's go ahead and side bend this way. Just relax, I gotcha. Swing your legs out and hold it there. And you see how it just broke. Let's go face down. And so what you're gonna see me do next is something called force application to the muscle tissue. What we're hitting is we're hitting the attachment sites of the muscle. You're not gonna see me massaging or pushing hard through the belly. It's just hitting the attachment sites of the muscle to stimulate some communication back to the brain so that we can improve the strength and the communication from the brain to the muscle tissue. We essentially do that with every single muscle that's responsible for what these range of motion deficits are showing today. And what happens is you start to get stronger. When you get stronger, your range of motion improves. Swing your legs out and hold, and relax, just side bend, right there, yeah. And hold, okay, and face down. So you can see here, I'm basically in, pushing the attachment sites, and I'm out. If I feel a knot or something of that nature, I'm not gonna sit there and push on it. It's just we're hitting attachment sites of muscles and improving its ability to contract and hold essentially that bicep curl. So it's actually, as you can see, MAT is more like a little workout than it is, traditional therapy. So we're gonna put you to work a little bit. Stretching can cause a stress across one joint or multiple joints, and it stresses those tissues, and what happens is you can cause some inflammation, you'll cause a weakness. So it's all strictly improving contraction, which is improving your strength. So what happens is when your brain senses there's strength across those joints, then it's gonna give you the range of motion back. Yes, you can improve range of motion with stretching. However, you're improving that range of motion with the risk of injury because you're opening up ranges of motion that your brain doesn't really want you to get into. So what happens when you stretch, you're opening up risk of injury because you have weaknesses in those new ranges of motion. So that's why the strength component is very important. What happens is if you have muscles that are weak or over fatigued, they become tight. So in her case, it was the hip internal rotation and then the side bend on this side. And so what's happening is her brain's protecting her from getting into positions. That's what muscle tightness is. It's a protective mechanism. So what MAT does is we activate those muscles that are being protected to improve the strength so that then the brain can say, okay, now we're strong and now we're gonna allow you to move in positions. So sometimes it can happen immediately. Sometimes it takes a little time to improve the motion, depending on the situation. In her case, you know, her hip is already starting to move. We haven't even gone to the hip yet. So just by stabilizing the spine, now the brain's like, oh, okay, we have some stability here. And I use stability and strength as the same term. Now the brain's gonna allow her to move a little bit more efficiently. That's what muscle tightness is. It's just a protective mechanism. So we work with it, we don't work against it. And working against it is stretching, maybe foam rolling, using a Theragun. So you would wanna stay away from those things. So a client I actually just treated, he was coming in, he's a football player, and he was getting a pulled hamstring. Could it be that he has weak hamstrings? For sure, but there's more to it than just that. So I found that his hip flexor was actually completely fried and he couldn't even lift his leg up. Can't lift his leg up, so the hamstring that was being pulled, this leg can only lift this high, and then the hamstring would pull, and then this leg could come all the way up here with no pull. You can make the argument that his hamstring, when he's running, was pulling him down because of the weaknesses on the opposite side of the joint in the spine. So what I did was I worked on his hip flexors, his trunk flexors, even rotators, and now he can lift his leg up, and it took me 2 sessions, and now he's running full speed. You know, there's no defense mechanism there anymore because there's strength on this side. Now, as he runs, he's driving his leg up full speed, the hamstring is not gonna try to pull him back down because there are no longer any weaknesses. If you do pull muscles often, or if you're pulling muscles at full speed, don't just think it's just your weak hamstrings. Yes, hamstrings across the board for most people should get stronger. However, it's not just that. You have to look at it in a global way. Most likely it could be your hip flexors, could be your spine extensors, it could be your glutes also. So you have to see an MAT person, and you know, we can get those details. Okay, let's lie on your back, press out and hold. There we go. Press out and hold. Walk it off, see how you feel. A little better?
Yeah, much better.
So we use the floor and walking as a stress. We come back on the table. We retest all the muscles to make sure they're still strong even after walking. So we use gravity or your body weight as a stressor. Over time, you start to see these muscles show up less weak. Then we can start adding exercises to improve and further the strength and the tolerance levels of the muscles so that you can end up doing anything you want. You can start playing sports without risk of injury, playing with your kids without, you know, worrying about getting hurt, pulling muscles, and essentially just improving your quality of life.